And we are back with some more Washington Capitals franchise mode in FHM 10. And we are currently 11, 8, and 3. We're not in a bad spot, given that it's still early, but we could definitely be doing a lot better. And I was taking a look at our roster, considering this is a very big year. This is a big year all around. And there are a few players that I think could be doing a lot better or are just not in the right role. For one of those players, Coots in particular, he is listed as a two-way forward, so you would think he'd be good in a bottom six role, but not really. He hasn't been very good defensively. He hasn't been a very good simulator all around. He's got mid-50s grades ever since he came into the NHL. He's not much of a hitter, and he just doesn't really fit the role that he currently occupies. And because we have such a logjam at center, I mean, you have Misa, Mata, who's not even on the team right now, and then you have Kulik, Lapierre, who I'll get to in a second, and then Garconi as well ahead of him. He's got too much competition up here, and I don't think he's going to even crack the top six, even after we make the moves that we're about to make. Yes, we're about to make some moves. Coots is going to be one of the guys on the way out. I'm just letting you guys know right now, this is going to be a pretty heavy retooling. We're not rebuilding because, you know, at this point, there's not much point in that. We're still very much a competitive team, but we do need to retool in order to not only meet the salary cap for next season, because we're currently sitting at 80.86 and it's going to be tight if we don't make some moves, but also to give our team a little bit of new blood, you know? And another guy who's going to be on his way out is Nikita Artamonov. Been with us for quite some time. He had the big injury there in his second season, but he's been pretty stable ever since in terms of his durability. And it's not that he hasn't worked out per se. Like, he's been pretty good in his role, so I can't complain there. But he is asking for roughly 5.6 on his next contract, and that's just not something I think we can afford going forward. And besides that, he has a ton of replacements that are just waiting to be called up. Stesko, Larange, DeMay, Royce. I mean, we have so much depth. And not to mention the fact that in the playoffs last season, he put up a goose egg, 0 points in 6 games played. So that was, you know, that doesn't exactly work in his favor here. So I think Artamonov's got to be on his way out. And he's 5th on the depth chart for right wingers now with the acquisition of Tite in the last episode. So with all that being against him, I think Artamonov does have to be on his way out here. And it's a given that he hasn't been too great of a simulator this year in terms of his grade. If he was, then I probably would have reconsidered trading him, but that is obviously not the case. And then another guy who I think could be doing much better, he's been okay in his role, but not great, is Carson Cameron. Pretty solid two-way defenseman, but he has been great at simulation, especially not when compared to other defensemen around the league and even other defensemen on our team. Galvis has been better defensively. Alain Samake has been better, and we don't really pay him for offense. We have Huang and Lambos and Lin and Levshunov for that, you know? So he is also going to be on his way out. He's got a good contract with that 6-year contract or 2.3, certainly very team friendly, and a contract that I would have loved to keep, but he just hasn't really been up to par. So that is why he is on his way out. And then Hendrix Lapierre, he's been here for the entire GM mode so far. He had 69 points last season, and he only has 1 point so far this season after an injury, I believe, that he had in October. Physical player, he's great. He's generally a great player. So why am I moving him? Mata is essentially just a younger, better version of Lapierre. When you take a look at their ratings, I mean, they're very, very similar. In fact, we'll go here and compare them. I mean, offensive ratings are basically identical. Defensive ratings are actually in favor, for the most part, of Mata. And then the physical ratings, once again, almost identical. And then mental ratings, for the most part, identical. So I think it would be in our best interest to move on from Lapierre, given his contract. He's got $6 million on his contract for the next 2 years. He's even got a no movement clause, but don't worry, I got that figured out. So Hendrix Lapierre, despite his tenure here, is going to be on his way out. Unfortunately, that's just how the business works sometimes. Again, great player. Would have loved to keep him if not for the salary cap issue. So with that being said, let's get to the trades that we're about to make. We're about to make 2 trades here. So first off, to the Calgary Flames will be Hendrix Lapierre, and that is all that is going to be going to Calgary. And in return, we are going to get Elias Lindholm, who is currently making 6.8 for 1 year. And we're also going to retain 40% of his salary cap so that he'll be down to roughly 4 mil. and then also a first round pick. They will probably accept this offer. So obviously we haven't had a first round pick in the past couple of years. Currently we only have a third, a fifth, and a seventh for this season. And I mean, the draft hasn't exactly been great anyway recently, so that's, you know, it's not too detrimental, but this first round pick is the main attraction coming back the other way in order to free up the cap that LaPierre is taking up. And honestly, I think we might just flip Lindholm because keeping him would not free up the logjam that we have at center. So I'm just going to flip him right away, and that's why I'm retaining some of the cap from Lindholm. And hopefully with his reduced cap hit, we'll be able to get a little bit more back for him from whoever we're trading him to. So offer trade, and let's hope they say yes. And the second trade that we are going to make will be to the LA Kings. And going to LA will be Artamonov, Coots, and Carson Cameron, if I could find him. Where is Carson Cameron? There he is. So all three of them going the other way in exchange for Michael Anderson, who is in there for cap reasons. Pretty solid veteran defenseman. I think I'm just going to waive him after we make this go through. Again, he's just in there for cap reasons. And the same goes for Trevor Kuntar, who is a center. So once again, going to be flipping him right after this trade goes through because we don't need any more centers at this point. Just in there for cap reasons. And the main attraction of this trade is going to be Quentin Bourne, the 24-year-old defenseman who is currently a 2.5-star ability, 4-star potential. And when you compare Bourne with Cameron, I mean, they really don't even compare defensively. Bourne is so much better than Cameron with his defensive ratings, and not only defensive ratings, but his defensive grade as well. In only 35 games played total in the NHL in the past 2 seasons, he's got a 70 grade this year so far and a 65 grade, last year. And he's a pretty good hitter. And I'm not sure if I went over this before with Cameron, but that's not the case with him. He's not a hitter whatsoever. And especially given his 6'4" frame, I expect a little bit more physicality out of him, and he's just not bringing it. So once again, another big trade. Artamonov, Coots, and Cameron for Anderson, Kuntar, and Bourne, the main attraction of this trade. Offer trade. All right, the LA Kings have accepted our offer. I'm going to wait until we know what's happening with Calgary. I'm pretty sure they'll say yes, but just to make sure. They said no. Okay, so it's an issue with payroll. So they could do this before, but not now. So I guess I'll just try taking this down a little bit. 35, no. 15, okay, so we can retain up to 15% now. That must have changed a little bit between when it was sent and now. So LaPierre for Lindholm at 15% of his salary retained and a first round pick. Offer trade. And of course the media praises LaPierre after the win. They know he's getting traded, that's why. Let's see, what do you do in this game? What do you do? 79 offensive grade, 2 assists. Yeah, I mean that's a good game. That's a good game, but it's a little unfortunate timing there. Let's emphasize a team effort. There you go. Calgary Flames have accepted our offer for Hendrix Lapierre in exchange for Elias Lindholm with 15% of his salary retained and a first round pick. So we'll do this trade first, complete trade with the Calgary Flames, and then with the LA Kings, you have Artamonov, Coots, and Cameron to LA in exchange for Anderson, Kuntar, and Bourne. Complete trade. This has been quite a heavy retooling so far as we look at our transaction log just from this season alone. Of course, you have the trades that we made in the offseason with York and Hagens and Gauthier, but then we acquire Kidney, we acquire Tite, we get Kulik from the Rangers, we trade LaPierre for Lindholm and a first, and then, of course, the trade with Artamonov, Coots, and Cameron for Bourne, essentially. Yeah, this is a heavy retooling going on here in Washington. All right, so another trade here, sending Kuntar at 30% of his salary retained to the Detroit Red Wings in exchange for JT Miller. I don't mind sending him down to the AHL and having him clear waivers if we have to, in exchange for 2 seconds and 2/3. So recouping some of our draft picks that we've traded away due to past trades. So offer trade. And we will be sending Elias Lindholm with 50% of his salary retained to the New York Islanders in exchange for Adam Pelech, who is once again another situation where we will be dropping him to the AHL if he gets claimed, whatever. Because the main return here is going to be the 2nd and 3rd round picks, the 2nd for next year and the 3rd round for this year. Offer trade. All right, we traded LaPierre, so we have to assign a new alternate captain. I think for me, it has to be Ryan Lynn. I mean, he's a big part of this team's future, so may as well give him the first alternate there. All right, there you go. Elias Lindholm to the New York Islanders has been accepted in exchange for Pelech, a 2nd and a 3rd. Complete trade. So now I will send down Pelech, place him on waivers. And then Trevor Kuntar to the Red Wings has also been accepted in exchange for JT Miller, 2 seconds and 2/3 complete trade. So we'll send down Miller, place him on waivers, and then we will call up Ivan Mata, who hopefully will not get stuck in the logjam that is our center core. Oof. Figures. Yeah, I mean, he should hopefully be on the second line soon enough. I'll trust that. I was kind of hoping that Carconi would go on the fourth line and then Kulik on the third and then Mata on the second, since Mata is once again essentially just a better version of LaPierre. But it's just how the AI coaches are in this game, I suppose. Not much to be done about it, unfortunately, unless we take control of the team ourselves with the head coach. But I don't think that's a good idea with my coaching ratings. So we're just going to have to hope that Guy Boucher eventually comes to his senses and puts Mata on the second line. But for right now, this is going to have to do. And actually, we do have to call up one more forward here, as we currently have 8 defensemen and exactly 12 forwards. So I think I'll call up Wesley Royston. He's a solid grinder. He might be able to do well in a fourth line role. I know he hasn't been a great simulator in the preseason, but I'm willing to give him a chance here. So let's call him up. Obviously, he's another center, but you know, he's our 13th forward anyway. So there we go. That is your new and improved, hopefully improved, Washington Capitals, as we made several moves, not only in order to improve our financial situation for next year, but also improve our team for this year. As we see by the salary cap for next year, we're going to be at 22.9 in salary cap space. That is what I like to see. Now, obviously, this year is a little bit different. We're currently sitting at 83.85, so we're very, very close to the cap ceiling. I believe we are, let's see. Yeah, we're within 2 mil of it right now. But the fact that we were able to unload guys like LaPierre and Artamonov means we can save more money for next year. And now, of course, that means we can re-sign Mata and Kidney without having to worry about anything. And Mata is very cheap at the moment, so I will get him locked up while I can. Then Toropchenko, I'm going to wait on. Kidney, how's he been so far? 12 points in 12 games. He's been really good. But still, I think I'll wait on him. Royston, I think I'll also wait on him just to see how he performs. And I think that's all I want to do for re-signings at the moment. Anyway, I know this past month of trading has been a lot to take in, so let's just recap it one more time. We received Riley Kidney from the Florida Panthers in exchange for Peter Kochetkov, the rights to Pavlinsky, and a 6th-round pick. We receive Ashton Tite from the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for Olivier Metcalf and Jake O'Brien, and a 4th-round pick. We received Yuri Kulik from the New York Rangers in exchange for Ty Kartai, who was on an expiring deal and did not want to re-sign. The rights to Benjamin Josephson, 2 2nd-round picks, and a 3rd. And then, of course, in this episode, you have LaPierre to the Calgary Flames in exchange for essentially a 1st-round pick because we flipped Lindholm. Then you have Artamonov, Coots, and Cameron to the LA Kings in exchange for essentially just Quentin Bourne. Well, I guess Michael Anderson's still on the team, but you know what I mean, he could be waived at any minute. And then you have Lindholm, who we received in the LaPierre trade in exchange for Pelech, a 2nd and a 3rd. And then you have Kuntar, who we received in the Artamonov trade in exchange for Miller, 2 seconds and 2/3. Personally, I think that's a job well done in terms of asset management and being able to essentially retool our team into a better position for next year. And not only that, but also improving for this year. So I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but I think that's a job well done. Now, of course, the risk in all of this change is the fact that we have no idea how this team is going to perform now with all the changes that have happened over the past month. I mean, we managed to keep the majority of our core together, so I'm not expecting too much of a difference, but you never know. Like this, just with how many trades we made, the locker room dynamic is bound to be at least a little different, right? So I guess we will see what happens in the coming months, and we'll simulate up to probably the trade deadline. Okay, yeah, the lines are just all over the place right now. So Mata is on the second line, but now, of course, I suppose we're continuing the running gag of Misa on the fourth line. Doesn't matter what coach he has or how good he is with his star ability. Is a 3.5 star ability. Is our highest star ability center and still stuck on the fourth line. So that's yeah, that's just how it goes, I suppose. That's how it goes in this game. Oh boy, Wong injured long term, it looks like. Ruptured disc indefinite. That is, yeah, that's not good to have at this time of year. I mean, that's not good to have ever, but not good at this time of year in particular. Oh, 9 months. Oh my goodness, that is Like, that's not just long term in terms of until the end of playoffs. He's gone into next season type thing. Oh, that's so rough. That is so rough. He's one of our better defensemen too. And of course, on top of that, Ryan Lynn's out. Luckily, it's only day to day. Bruce back. Luckily, ever since those trades, we are now 24, 13, and 5. So we've gotten back on track for sure. It looks like this team does simulate pretty well together. So that's a relief. So I think with that, we can just keep going here in the simulation, and hopefully the injury to Huang doesn't hurt us too much. Those were some big brain moves. We didn't lose a single game in January. We did not lose a single game in January. Let's see, we lost the last game in December, so that is a 3, 5, 9, 12 game winning streak so far. I think I believe that is a GM mode high. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that we are once again a good team in light of our current 12 game winning streak. So with that, I think we'll just go straight ahead to the trade deadline. Our 12 game winning streak was broken the first game of the month against Dallas. That's unfortunate, but you know what? Great run. All right, so we're at the trade deadline, and honestly, I don't think there's much to do because we're clearly a very good team at this point. 36, 18, and 6. Currently second in our division, third in the conference, third in the league. We're in a pretty good spot. The one thing I do want to do is re-sign Riley Kidney. He's currently got 38 points in 44 games played with us. Very good player. And obviously with our 21.5 in cap space going into next season, I think we can afford to re-sign him. And he's currently asking for 4.6 for 3 years. I will definitely do that. Try to get him down a little bit. All right, I managed to get him down to 4.31 for 3 years. Sounds good to me. And I think he's the only player I want to re-sign here. Jeez, I didn't even realize Carter Kingerski. we have so many prospects that are looking to make a push. I didn't even realize that Kingerski grew to a 3-star ability. He can stay down there in the AHL for now though. But he'll probably be one of the first call-ups if we have an injury. So before we advance, let's check out the player stats and see what everyone's doing. Afanasev with 59 points at 59 games played. Misub with 53. Levshunov with 47. 46 for Kidney. 44 for Lambos, 37 for Tite, 34 for Kulik, 30 for Suzdalev, 29 for Crystal, 26 for Carconi, 24 for Lynn and Galvis, 22 for Anderson, 21 for Carrier, 19 for Huang and Bourne, 16 for Toropchenko and Mata, and then 13 for DeRubio, 3 for Royston and Alain Samake. And in goal, you have a 908 save percentage for Spencer Knight in 45 games played and 5 shutouts. And for Ivankovic in 15 games played and 915s. Goals for per game, we're currently 13th with a 3.45. Goals against per game, we are first with a 2.6. That is what I like to see. Face-offs, we're 5th in the league with a 51.4. Power play, we are 8th with a 23.2. And penalty kill, we are 4th with an 83.8. So all around, very solid. Like what I see. Let's continue on to the end of the regular season. Oh, another 1% injury to Royston. 3 to 4 months. Oh, that's unfortunate. He's gone for the season, probably. It looks like Suzdalev is suspended, so we're going to have to call up a forward. That may as well be Kingerski. And we are at the end of the NHL regular season. We finished 52, 24, and 6. With 110 points. That is unfortunately not quite enough for the President's Trophy, as the Blackhawks did finish ahead of us. They had the same amount of points, but I believe they did have more regulation plus overtime wins. Yes, indeed. They had 52. We had 51. Let's see the stats for the end of the season. Afanasev finished with 81 points. And you have Misa with 75, 70 for Lambo. So that is, I believe, a career high. Yes, indeed. His previous was 61. Levshunov was 65, 57 for Tite and Kidney, 49 for Kulik, 40 for Crystal and Carconi, 37 for Lynn, so he had a bit of a down season compared to last year. Galvis with 36, 34 for Suzdalev, 32 for Carrier, 31 for Anderson, 24 for Bourne, 22 for Mata, 20 for DeRubio, 19 for Huang, 18 for Toropchenko, 8 for Alain Samake, 4 for Royston, and 2 for Kingerski. And in goal, 910 save percentage for Knight in 65 games played, and for Ivankovic in 17, he had a 918. So all around, very good from our team. Let's see where we finished in the team stats. 3.57, 11th in the league for goals for per game, and goals against per game, we finished with a 2.56, first in the league. Power play, we finished 5th with a 23.3, and penalty kill, we finished 1st with an 85.8. Love to see it. And we have, Road Warrior, lead the league in road wins. Okay, so I guess we're, home ice advantage doesn't really count for the other teams. And we will be facing the New York Rangers in the first round of the Year 8 playoffs. So with that being said, We'll end things off here. And the next one, we'll go through the playoffs of year number 8 with your Washington Capitals.